We are live, everybody, with the NoDQ review, episode number 91, as we begin our road to 100 episodes. I'm Aaron Rift. Let me introduce our moderator, good old Virtue. How's it going, man?
What's up, Aaron? Welcome to the NoDQ review number 91, and I am Virtue, being joined by the elite team of NoDQ, myself, Aaron Rift, Greg Cherry, the Wrestling Trivia Challenge champion, and former Wrestling Trivia Challenge champion, the West Coast Professor, Jeff Meacham. What's up, everyone?
Botched the crew-ending spot. Damn it. Oh, well. We'll do better at 5, I promise. All right, at 8. So, anyway, it's a great day. We actually got to hear people in our government not sound like complete idiots this afternoon, so that was nice. It was a good good day up until I woke up this morning because we got bad news, and we'll talk about that. So,
Greg, well, and that'll be the first thing we talk about. First, Greg, what's up? What's going on, man?
Not a whole lot. Been a crazy week in general, and of course we're going to cover all that, but there is exciting news that I'll bring up later in the broadcast, so stay tuned for that. If you watch my live stream on Saturday, you'll know about it, but for those that didn't, I'll let you know.
All right, well, stay tuned. And Aaron Rift, what's going on, man?
It's been overwhelming the last couple days here on NoDQ.com. I've been so busy posting article after article, doing the live streams. We got a lot to talk about today, and I say that every week, but this week even more so. So let's get to it, as they say. First of all, we have a $5 super chat from Good Looks. Thank you very much for that. Good Looks says, WWE will surely try their best to have more deals with Saudi Arabia after this pandemic is over, and maybe even doing a WrestleMania, specifically under current circumstances. Well, we'll see. I think WWE is pretty happy with their Saudi deal, and I think very thankful that they have the Saudi deal under the current circumstances. But I'm sure we'll talk about possibilities for WWE coming up here. Let's go ahead and get started with this.
All right, well, gentlemen, let's get this out of the way. Jeff was referring to some bad news this morning. Howard today. Now, we know that he's had some health issues. He was the greatest wrestling announcer ever. If anybody wants to challenge me on that, we'll do a no-DQ great debate. There were some other very good ones, but he was the best because he came up through the golden era. His voice called Hulkamania matches. You know, when I say call the winners at the end of the match. Jeff, I want to start with you. Fink, right there with the Bobby Heenan and the Gorilla Monsoons and the Gene Okerlunds. I mean, that's the vibe, legends. What do you think?
he is it was said during his Hall of Fame induction, and it's been said by countless voices over the years, that he was the voice to usher in the new eras, the Austin era, the boyhood dream of Shawn Michaels was ushered in with Howard Finkel. The era of Hulkamania. I mean, there you go. It's Hulk Hogan was announced as the champion by Howard Finkel. There's no greater stamp in WWE history than the fact that Howard Finkel is the one that announced Hulk Hogan as the new world champion. People know that he was the first employee hired by Titan Sports when they took over the WWF in 1980. Howard was the first guy to be hired. So he was the longest tenured employee of WWF, WWE Incorporated, whatever the hell you want to call it right now. So there is no more appreciated guy, I think, in that tower than Howard Finkel. I firmly believe that. I also jokingly said to Greg this morning that I guess Greg really is now officially the world's greatest wrestling trivia mind because Howard Finkel has passed away.
Yeah, that was a matchup I would have loved to have seen.
Oh my God! I was host that. Are you kidding me?
Maybe years ago, when Howard wasn't as ill, somebody could have contacted him and do it. Greg, what's your thoughts? I mean, Howard Finkel's 2 words and new. I mean, that he is the guy for that, in my opinion.
I mean, he absolutely is. And a lot of different people, like, Justin Roberts tried to model the and new after him. But, there's only one Howard Finkel. And you brought up people doing the great no-DQ debate if anybody was a better announcer than Howard Finkel. I don't know if you'd have anybody take you up. I don't know if anybody would argue that point. Because Howard Finkel was ring announcing. Plain and simple. I mean, he's up there with Michael Buffer as far as legendary ring announcers. And He's definitely going to be missed. It's very sad that he was in terrible shape the last couple of years, but he's not suffering anymore, and we're here celebrating his life.
Yep, that's a good point. Aaron Rift, you mentioned something earlier I saw on Twitter or whatever about it impacted you hard because he was one of the voices of your childhood. You want to elaborate on that? We can all agree,
Yeah, Howard Finkel was a big part of my childhood, and to me, he was part of the soundtrack of those early WrestleManias, and quite frankly, a lot of WrestleManias. Maybe Greg knows the amount. I'm curious how many WrestleManias Howard Finkel did at least one match ring announcing for. I'm not sure if Greg knows the answer to that or not, but I feel like it's got to be at least 20, if not more. He was there for a long time, spanning different eras, from the Golden Era with Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, Ultimate Warrior, New Generation Era with Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Diesel, Razor Ramon, and then Attitude Era, Steve Austin, The Rock, Triple H, Mankind, all the way into the Ruthless Aggression Era with John Cena, Batista. He was still doing pay-per-views, I think, until like 2005 or 2006. He was around for many years, and that voice is just so iconic and a big part of WWE history, and it's sad to see him go, but what a legacy he left in the business.
Yeah, and he'll be missed. I mean, and the thing is, we can watch all the matches he announced for, pretty much on the WWE Network, so he'll never go away. We'll always be able to go and, even if we weren't going to listen for Howard Finkel, we'll go watch a match that he announced, and we'll hear him. We'll always remember him. So rest in peace, Howard Finkel, the best announcer of all time. Ring announcer. Yes, Aaron.
All right, so Psycho Jet Black was trying to get us off track here a little bit, a little side topic here. What are our favorite Brie Bella matches? And I'm not sure I can name one. I guess versus Nikki Bella. I'm getting a stare right now. Jeff?
I have one.
Okay, go ahead.
Versus Stephanie McMahon at SummerSlam. That was probably Brie's best match.
That was actually the one I was thinking of.
Yeah.
With the heel turn. Although it would
because
have been nice if
Nikki
that
turned,
actually went somewhere.
I would have to agree that Brie's best match was the one against Stephanie. It was her best and definitely her most high profile, without question.
Mm-hmm.
Her biggest high profile match, and and honestly, the match with her and Bryan against Miz and Maurice was actually pretty solid too.
Cricket. But hey, nonetheless, you can ask these questions, but try to stay on topic. NoDQ Galaxy, we appreciate it. Aaron Rift appreciates it. Let's go to topic number 2. This one's a doozy. This one's a big one. WWE and NXT cuts. I mean, I don't even know where to start. I know that Gallows and Anderson, Rusev. I mean, if Vince McMahon lost millions of dollars by not making a star out of somebody that he just would never push, he screwed up on Rusev twice. Monster heel when he first was doing the Bulgarian Russian sympathizer gimmick with Lana. He should have beat Cena at that WrestleMania. Could have been a monster heel. Put a baby face over later on. And then a few years later, you could have still got the Rusev Day over as a mega baby face. And it was, but Vince McMahon stifled it, just like I unfortunately called it one day. And I think Vince McMahon threw a lot of money on the table. But Aaron, I'll start with you here. There were a lot of cuts. Now, I know people, they get, hey, during this time it sucks. I mean, there were furloughs in terms of some of the people like the Lance Storms and the Shane Helms. Maybe some of them will get called back when business picks up. I mean, there's no house shows right now. Some of these road agents, that's why they have to do this. The talent I'm not so worried about, because when you're in WWE, you get paid pretty well in the indies. It just sucks that the indies are closed right now.
Right.
This pool of talent will be okay. The free agent pool is kind of getting thin. It's going to thicken it back up. You have New Japan. You have Ring of Honor. I won't really mention Impact. You have AEW. So, Aaron, what's your thoughts on some of the most shocking names on this release list?
Psycho Jet Black just sent in a $2 super chat saying Braun Strowman's best friends were EC3 and Drake Maverick. Drake Maverick, that one was pretty sad, his video.
That crushed me, man. Oh, my God.
Yeah. But I really like Aiden English's video, and I think that one was really inspiring. Yep. Like I said on my stream last night, I think they're all really talented, and I think once things get back to normal, most of them should be able to find work. Maybe a few of them will end up back in WWE. Who knows? I could see AEW picking up a couple of guys. They all have, except for the NXT ones. The NXT ones are reportedly 30-day non-competes. The main roster people are 90-day non-competes. But right now, everything's shut down. I guess the attitude in WWE is they want to try to save a little bit of money. And the other factor is right now, AEW is not going to be signing people since they already have a bunch of shows in the can. WWE figured if they're going to release people, let's do it now when they're not going to be showing up somewhere right away. Jeff?
And the other thing to keep in mind is if they're 90-day non-compete, that's into mid-July. This stuff might be settled down by then. Maybe we're hearing July, we're hearing September, we're hearing different numbers from different people. So if things are settled down by mid-July, they may get brought back to work. So
I think that non-complete is such bullshit. But the problem is you can probably take it to court, but who wants to pay the legal fees against Vince McMahon's juggernaut?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Back to you, Aaron. Or were you done?
I mean, I got nothing else to really say about it. I'm sure Jeff and Greg would love to give their thoughts on everything and what they thought was the most shocking and what was the least shocking.
Golly, there were so damn many. Like I kept losing track by the time you were all done, reposting and posting over and over again yesterday. The ones really shocked me were the producers. I mean, I get that they're not on the road right now, so there's no need for the road agents right now. But just the guys that have been there. And what really surprised me was Mike Chioda. Mike Chioda has been with WWE longer than my brother has been alive. Like seriously, he's been with the company that long, and it completely even if he's in a reduced role, you still keep him around. He can still bounce around the ring like a 20-year-old. He's an amazing referee. He always has been. And he's the one referee in the company that hasn't had some sort of stupid storyline thrown at him like, the Hebners or Charles Robinson or Nick Patrick. He's been consistently the guiding ship in that ring with the guys. So I don't see a reason for that release whatsoever. I mean, if he asked for it, then fine, but I doubt it. Rusev did not surprise me. I wish it did. I wish to God Rusev being released surprised me, but it didn't. It was a matter of time. We all knew that in January that he was on his way out. So
now, Jeff, real quick here. The Game is on 100 sent in a $2 super chat, says every fired roster cuts are greater than a fired EC3. Did we lose Virtue?
We did lose Virtue. He'll be back in momentarily. We'll go ahead and keep going. I don't know about everybody released being better than EC3. I think EC3 got a lot of crap because of, the internet memes picking on him. I think Derek Bateman is a very talented individual. I just don't think that he was able to shake off the EC3 stigma because, the character became so over the top in TNA that it just it became its own beam, really.
All right, I think Virtue is trying to get back into the room, so bear with us, everybody. A little bit of technical difficulties. I will read some more of these super chats while we wait for Virtue to get back in here. We'll jump back into into the discussion. Easy for me to say. Miguel with a $5 super chat says, Howard Finkel, he would be missed. Do you know Howard Finkel coined the word or the phrase WrestleMania? Greg, did you know that?
I didn't know that.
I did too. I think he said that at the Hall of Fame, right? Although I think that was out before the Hall of Fame induction. That might have been out.
It was one of those things that was kind of like known throughout the circles, but it was made, official at the Hall of Fame induction.
Right.
I'm back, everybody. We had a power outage here. My Wi-Fi just crapped out. Guess what?
Geez.
It's the NoDQ review number 91, and here I am. I found a way back.
Virtue, your audio is really bad. Just an
Oh my
FYI.
God.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like you're underwater, but we're live, pals.
It's like the Super Mario stage where you're swimming underwater. That's Virtue right now. We'll give him a minute to
Keep
see.
going. I'll fix it here.
All right,
Hold
then
on.
you sound better now.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, he's like right here.
We're live, pal.
That's
Damn
what I
it.
said.
The freaking no DQ family train wreck continues for the week. Oh my God!
All right, wait a second. Virtue, say something. Say something stupid.
Something stupid.
All right, that was a little better. Okay, Adrian sent in a $2 super chat. Adrian says more releases expected tomorrow. Shin to be released? I have not heard this, Adrian. Actually, I think if anything, they're done with the releases for now. There might be a few more NXT releases that have not come out yet. And Jordan Smith sent in a $10 super chat. Thank you, Jordan. He says, rumor has it they are not done with the releases yet. Again, where are you guys getting this from? If so, who would you be worried about getting released next? Any names jump out? Greg, thanks again for my Shane McMahon entrance on your live stream. Greg, you want to go ahead and give your overall thoughts and respond to that? Like if there are any more releases, what do you think is going to happen? Who should be worried?
I was talking with a few people yesterday, and somebody rumored Kevin Owens to me. I was like, I can't believe that one. I really can't believe that one. Because he just won a high-profile match against Rollins at Mania, so I can't see that one happening at all, unless there's issues with his work visa or something because he's Canadian. So
That's true.
I mean that could be a possibility. But
Underwater, everybody.
Your
what was
audio?
that?
Still underwater.
Yes.
A
Yeah.
little bit. It's not as bad.
No.
I really don't know. Some people pointed out to me that a lot of the releases were Raw talent. So maybe there's a SmackDown one coming. I can't really speculate on that, and I really don't want to, because I'm sure that SmackDown is going to suffer as well from this. But I mean, the Rusev one did surprise me. I agree with Virtue wholeheartedly that Rusev Day and the Bulgarian Brute both were total opportunities to push him towards the main event scene, and both, not in the fans' eyes, but in Vince McMahon's eyes, didn't get there. So, that one was disappointing, and there were a couple others, but there's so many to name. It was just, it was brutal.
Now, what about, before we get to Big G's super chat, what about Anderson and Gallows? That one's a pretty big surprise.
Yeah, because they were just in the AJ Taker match at Mania. So
Yeah.
It was half a surprise and half not, because the OC, Gallows and Anderson, even when they were with Styles this last time, didn't really do much of anything. Yeah, they were tag team champions for a month, but other than that, they were just kind of bit players, which sucks because they're both talented. But it is what it is, I guess.
Is Luke Gallows just snake bit at this point? He's had, 3 goes?
At least he didn't get repackaged as Festus again. It could have been worse.
Big G said, is it Red Day?
We are wearing red in solidarity for Rusev.
There you go.
Rusev Day. So go with that.
Well, we can move on. I'm going to kind of do it quickly until my audio comes back. Guys, take over here. WWE's Essential in Florida. What? Aaron, what's your thoughts on this? That basically is news this week that they're considered essential.
All right, well, before I get to that, real quick, super chat from Psycho Jet Black, $2, says, will Heath Slater come back to WWE and get a push? Well, the joke right now is that if history repeats itself with the other 3MB members, Heath Slater will come back in 2022 much more jacked up than he was before. And then in 2023, he'll win the WWE Championship. So
I hope that happens.
I do too. I love Heath, man. He's great.
I would love that to happen so bad, because both Jinder and Drew were super big jokes. Then they came back, they were jacked, they were ripped, and Vince was like, "Oh yeah, let's push this guy. This is good shit." And then they both got WWE Championship runs out of it. Obviously, Drew's the current champion, but Mahal got a 6-month run. So Slater, it's your time, buddy. Do it.
And Adrian says, with a $5 super chat, says, all the talent released yesterday were on the Raw brand, hence why I suspect more releases for SmackDown guys tomorrow.
There you go.
Well, we'll see. I mean, anything's possible at this point. I could see WWE making more cuts. And yeah, Ken, we know Virtue's sound is really bad. Virtue, do you have headphones by any chance, or earbuds, something?
It's got to be the connection. I mean, my Wi-Fi and my cell phone connection, it just crapped out. They were 100% and everything's half of that. I have no idea if somebody hit a pole here or what.
Can anybody here hum the Super Mario Underworld song?
Well,
That's
there's like
the
different
underground
versions.
one. Wrong one,
Oh,
Jeff.
my bad. Okay, sorry.
All right, well, it's
Well,
virtually.
Aaron, here, I'm going to actually restart my Skype, but talk about WWE being essential.
Okay, I will talk about WWE being essential.
That's ridiculous. I just can't believe that. So talk about it.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of speculation about it.
Here we go.
The whole story about Linda McMahon and Vince McMahon, Donald Trump. Are there shenanigans going on? I don't really know if WWE is essential business. I think the world would be just fine without WWE. It would suck, and this is coming from a hardcore wrestling fan. It would be terrible. It would be terrible for me if WWE was out of business, but I don't think it's on the same level as people in the food industry, people in the medical industry. For WWE to be at the same level, I think it's a little bit of a stretch. But Jeff, I want to get your thoughts on it. What do you think?
All right, I'm going to try real hard to not be a complete prick about this, so bear with me here. The day that it was announced that the Florida governor was allowing wrestling to be an essential business just happened to be the same day that the head of President Trump's super PAC re-election committee pushed $18.5 million to the state of Florida. And those of you who don't know that, the head of the super PAC is Linda McMahon. The next day, Vince decides, well, that's good shit. Let's go ahead and do some more live stuff. So and I genuinely like Vince and Linda McMahon. I've met them both in person. They're wonderful people. Okay. I have a real problem with them crawling further into bed with the president. Not just because I don't like Donald Trump, because it could be anybody. I honestly think that them getting that far into bed with politics is dangerous for them, only because there are more hardcore fans than me that would, oh God, he's siding with Trump, and they will go completely apeshit. So if it'll be a problem down the line. And also, like you said, Aaron, it's not food, it's not hospitals, it's not healthcare centers for the seniors and for the disabled and forever. But like you also said, without wrestling, you and I don't have a job pretty much. So we're really, we're riding that line, really, really hard. It sucks.
All right, so let me play devil's advocate here, and leave the politics out of it, because
I know. I'm sorry. I tried. I did.
By the way, I'm back. Do I sound better?
Yes.
Oh, you're
Yes.
definitely-
You
yeah.
sound much better.
Sorry
Yeah.
about that, No DQ Galaxy. I literally think somebody hit a telephone pole a couple streets down. I really do.
Oh, jeez.
What's the TJS?
I don't know. There's sirens and everything, so hopefully.
Damn conspiracy theories.
Anyway,
Oh, Greg, go ahead. Yeah,
Back of the
please
wrench.
continue, please.
My thoughts are that WWE was classified as essential business just because right now there are no other sports going on. So somebody looking for their sports fix, while it may not be their cup of tea, can turn to the WWE or AEW, because they're still both running shows, and they can get a little bit of that sports fix. So my thoughts are they wanted to classify them as an essential business just so sports fans, not necessarily wrestling fans, had something to look forward to. That being said, I've seen Virtue's tweets lately, and yes, wrestling fans are kind of terrible people for ripping on WWE for running shows and then cutting the talent, because they're a business and they have to save money somewhere. They have to cut corners. It's a part of business. Does it suck? Yes. But, the business has to keep going. So that being said, I don't have a problem with WWE running shows. I'm not saying you guys don't have to out there watching, but, we still get WWE television. Is it the exciting in front of 15,000 people? No, but it's either that or you don't get wrestling at all. So, pick your poison here.
And to piggyback off that, the fact that there's fans that are saying, well, it should have been this guy instead of that guy, you're a dick if you say that. You're a flat out syphilitic dick. Flat out. You're a terrible person if you say shit like that. So,
I saw somebody do that to Corbin earlier. It's like, okay, I get Corbin's a heel.
Corbin
on,
roasted him, though. Corbin just
like you guys are getting worked so freaking hard that you worked yourself into a shoot. Knock it off.
Yeah,
Yep.
seriously.
Social media, Greg and Jeff. Hey, we can tweet about anything we want we see on television. Let's criticize it constantly. And I don't mind saying things are bad if they're not good, right?
Right.
There are people out there, everything's bad. And they got to, and it gets annoying, right? There has to be, if people focused on the good stuff, but Vince McMahon, he's a shrewd businessman, right? He found a way to be essential. Maybe they are, Greg, like the point. Maybe that's the sports fix, and the governor of Florida said, hey, you can do it. But we'll see. Just hopefully everybody's safe because they still got to travel. So while this is going on.
Jeff is trying to kill your audio, Virtue. Every time he moves, the static gets turned up.
So that
from what?
When you were moving. Oh, don't do that. Ow, 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 my ears.
Okay. I can't seem to win with these, whatever audio I use for these damn shows. I swear
I need to invest now in a graphic, technical difficulties when we start having problems. This is what happens when we go live. Sometimes it doesn't go.
I hardly ever have technical difficulties over here, so this is a one-off. But let's keep this rolling. Let's keep this moving on. And on Raw this past Monday, Drew McIntyre gets a win over Andrade, I believe, in the main event, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then Seth Rollins, who got beat by Kevin Owens, is now we don't know if he's challenging, but he attacked McIntyre. So Seth Rollins can stay relevant into the main event. Like, why? Like, it's going to be something, Greg, I'll start with you. Could Owens get involved with this too? And you can maybe have a triple threat feud for the WWE title to keep it interesting? Or are they just going to go Rollins because everyone's going to boo him? Like, come on. What do you think about this? It was kind of crazy. Like, get it in the back of the line,
Well, that goes back to WWE's constant problem. They don't have enough main event players. So Seth Rollins is one of your top heels. And when you have him lose at WrestleMania, it doesn't really help his case. But when Seth Rollins becomes your top heel, once Brock Lesnar is not in the picture, what do? Do you have McIntyre feud with somebody like, like Austin Theory for the WWE Championship? It really wouldn't make sense. But who else in the main event picture do you got? Can't have AJ because he's selling the Boneyard stuff. So who else do you really have to face McIntyre?
Because it's the brand split makes it awful. Like, if they didn't have the brand split, they'd have more options.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Jeff, what do you think on this? Like, if Owens got involved and it was like a triple threat feud, that way it wouldn't just be baby versus baby face, then maybe I would be okay with Rollins getting interjected in this. What do you think?
Yeah, I honestly, and this is going to sound really silly, but I think they blew it by having the Big Show challenge when he did. And yes, he's stepped away, and yes, he's doing the Netflix show and everything. But they, instead of building toward Big Show feels like he's been slighted because he's been moved to the role of semi-retired or whatever. They should have built on that for at least a program for a bigger Raw or a pay-per-view if they're going to execute one down the line. And instead of this, oh, by the way, this happened at WrestleMania. Here it is, the last 20 minutes of Raw. Here you go. It was like they had an opportunity there, and I think it's like Greg said, they have nobody there. They had nobody lined up, and the person that they've had lined up, that they could have really pulled that trigger on. I'm going to beat the dead horse here, but they've had Rusev, who's more over with the crowd. And granted, there is no crowd right now, but why not have Rusev be, the challenger for Drew? And yet he had to turn heel and go back to the Rush Sympathizer. He can just be Rusev Day Rusev. It would have worked. There are guys in the company that could do it, but they're not confident in them, and that's their fault that they haven't built somebody that they're confident in. They're confident in Rollins because he's a proven winner. They're confident in Owens, but they threw Rollins ahead of him. So I don't know.
Yeah, and Aaron, what do you think on this here? Or is it just maybe too early to even tell what's going to happen?
I think Seth Rollins' bite is a little bit weaker than his bark. I'll just say that much. Adrian with a $2 super chat says, woof, woof. Somebody shoot the dog. Oh, come on.
If you want my coordinates, I will freaking DM them to you. Come shoot that dog, please. He's right here and he bugs.
Oh, so we have the
Yippee.
culprit then.
Little yippy bastard across next door. God, I hate that dog so much.
Oh,
Anyway.
so it's not your dog?
Oh no, my dog is laying here nice and calm in the sun here, chilling her ass out while I do this.
Greg, you're up next for something to go wrong for this show.
Yeah, Greg, you got to have something go wrong in your house. Bring the cat in to try to cause a technical difficulty.
I'm waiting for the dog to bark because he likes making noise while I'm on the live stream. So.
And sometimes when one dog barks and hears another dog bark, then it becomes a domino effect.
Yeah.
So, Aaron, do you think it's just too early here, or are we going to get a full-blown Rollins and McIntyre feud for weeks and months, maybe, in empty arenas?
Well, first of all, John Schlosser with a $2 super chat says, and new RIP to the greatest ring announcer. I agree on that, John. Thank you for that. And Psycho Jet Black loves to take us off course here with the $2 super chat says, WWE should have a draft to move superstars around. I don't think they're going to do it during this time.
Why?
They're not going to do it while the pandemic is going on. If they do that, it'll be later in the year. But regarding Rollins, I get it. Kevin Owens is a babyface. Drew McIntyre is a babyface. I think WWE should have thought this through a little bit better. Now, what I said before when we did the predictions, I felt like if we did not have the pandemic, I think Seth Rollins would have won at WrestleMania. He would have beaten Owens. I have a feeling that finish was probably changed because of the pandemic and WWE wanting the babyfaces to go over. But I was always thinking in my mind, Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre after WrestleMania. So I get it. I get why WWE's doing that. Yeah, I think it would have been better if Rollins won at WrestleMania because it just doesn't make sense. Why is Rollins getting the title shot when he lost at WrestleMania? But it is what it is, and I give WWE a pass on it because of the circumstances.
Greg, you want to add?
I do. And the pandemic threw off what I thought would have been a great prediction because I predicted that Drew McIntyre's first WWE Championship feud would be against the returning Jinder Mahal, just because of the history there. That would have been great, but I'm guessing they're not going to have people start returning to TV while there's no fans to react to them coming back.
One thing that I do like in moving forward after WrestleMania, especially because I believe he should have either never had the Universal title or definitely not lost to Billy Boy 3 minutes in Saudi Arabia because, the plan was to put it on Roman, whatever. But Strowman now is the Universal Champion. Could he be mixing it up with former Wyatt leader, Bray family leader, Bray? They're the last two left, people. Harper's gone. Rowan was just released. So, Aaron, I'm a little more interested in this one just because I've enjoyed the Fiend's character, and we'll have to see. I just wish they could make these matches better for him. Maybe not his fault, but the way they're portraying these pay-per-view matches with the Fiend. What's your thoughts on this potential feud for the Universal title?
What sucks right now is that I feel like the heels on both Raw and SmackDown are lackluster. It's so small, the top guys, and it's like you only got the Fiend, really. You don't have any other serious heel to go against Braun Strowman. I'm guessing the original plan was Roman Reigns versus the Fiend after WrestleMania. The Fiend would try to get his title back. That would have been the storyline after WrestleMania before the pandemic went down. So, yeah, it feels like WWE just had to go with what they got, which is fine. I think it'll be an interesting match whenever they do it, but how are they going to do it? Is it going to be a regular match? Are they going to do another cinematic match? I'm not really sure what to expect from this feud. And Big G with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Big G. He says, do you think that they should have put Sarah Logan with the Viking Raiders? You can answer at the end of the video. Well, hopefully we remember that. Somebody in here try to remember that we got to talk about that. But yeah, I am curious to see what WWE does. Maybe they will do another cinematic match at Money in the Bank, do one for that pay-per-view. So that's That's my take on it. I think both feuds are fine under the circumstances. And really, that's all they can do at this point. They don't have a lot of options because they're so weak on the heels that they just got to go with the guys that they got.
Jeff, what do you think here? And does the title end up back on Bray Wyatt or The Fiend? I saw somebody on Twitter say he should beat Strowman and keep it for a very long time, like he should have had in the first place. What do you think?
I would have to agree with that, except for I think Vince in his mind, and again, I'm going to Vince McMahon's mind, which is a dangerous place to go, and I'm not really, Mr. Insightful on Vince McMahon. I just know what I've observed over the years. But it seems to me that Vince almost feels like Strowman should have been the guy against Roman 2 years ago. So maybe here you go, Ron. So at the same time, Bray's been deserving of that role for a while too. He was champion a couple years back and, got jobbed out at Mania with that horrible match with Randy that turned into a complete train wreck. So both guys really deserve to be in that top spot on SmackDown. It's just a matter of who WWE management, Vince in particular, wants to execute more. And to further the point we made earlier about, lining people up, is there a stronger feud base for Bray or for Strowman as champion? That's the key.
That's a good point. Now, Greg, I'm sitting there thinking how Wyatt got screwed when he had that first WWE title run and the whole thing that happened with Orton at WrestleMania. And then, he wins it as the Fiend in Saudi Arabia. And, some of the matches with Rollins didn't come across that good. The Bryan stuff was pretty good. I just felt they could have did more with this instead of losing that steam that he had. Now, we get it, right? It was to put maybe the title on Roman. That's why they wanted to use Goldberg. What do you think now? Is this just going to kind of happen by default, or do you think that the Fiend can still feel special now that he's in this feud? I mean, we don't know if he was going to be in the title picture or not, but he is right now. It looks like. What do you think?
I feel like they're going to use this as an opportunity to kind of reset everything the way it was supposed to be for WrestleMania. So I think Strowman is just a placeholder champion because he really wasn't even – I don't even know if he was supposed to be booked at WrestleMania, and here he is, the Universal Champion. So I think they're going to put the title back on Bray and go back to their original Fiend versus Roman plan, probably at SummerSlam, if there's an audience by then. I feel they drag it out that far because Roman's not going to be back until the pandemic stuff cools down, which who knows how long that could be.
So you think it's a good idea to put it on Fiend again then through this? I agree.
Yeah, I absolutely do. I like Strowman. I just think he's a placeholder champion and Bray needs to take it from him.
Yeah, there's something bothered me about the squash match, more or less, the 3-minute Goldberg style match that the Fiend had to endure. It's crazy, especially how he no-sold a lot of stuff in the months leading to that. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. But NoDQ Galaxy, what do you think? In the super chat, let Aaron Riff know. By the way, let's go ahead and answer not TJS. That's my boy TJS. Is he in the chat tonight, by the way?
No. Remember, he crashed into your poll outside.
I was going to see if he had some questions to ask us. The Big G super chat, Aaron, about Sarah Logan. Should she have joined the Viking Raiders instead of being released? That would have been a good idea. I don't know how that works with their budget cuts. You don't want anyone else to lose their job because they kept her. So, Jeff, I'll start with you. Good idea for that?
I would have liked to have seen something out of Sarah, and the Vikings would have made the most sense. I mean, she's married to one of the boys, so it would have been an interesting dynamic. Maybe her with the Vikings, and then Ruby did Ruby get fired too? Did I hear that right, or is she,
no?
Is she still a boy?
That was not officially confirmed. That one was.
I didn't think so. So if they were to keep the dynamic going between the three former Riot Squad members, have Sarah with the Vikings, have Ruby with two guys, have Liv with two people, and it would have been a cool little way to keep more people involved in storylines instead of just turning people loose. That's hindsight being 2020. You can do that, but it's not yesterday anymore. It is what it is now. So I think Sarah would have been a good fit with the Vikings because she's very much adopted that whole lifestyle outside of the ring anyway. So why not?
Good point. Greg Cherry?
You know, I do feel bad for Sarah Logan because really throughout her entire main roster run, she was kind of the forgotten one of the Riot Squad. She never got like big pops or anything. She was involved in big matches, but nobody really cared. And I feel bad because she's very talented. She was just never given anything to work with, really. Because the Riot Squad was just kind of like thrown together, and they just happened to be there. And Ruby's got charisma. Liv Morgan's doing some good stuff and starting to get a reaction behind her. But Sarah Logan never got that. So I think she'll do better on the Indies or AEW or somewhere. I'd suggest probably the Indies first. Maybe work something back up there before AEW. But I don't know. I think the idea of her going to the Viking Raiders just because she's married to one of them, that would have been a good idea, but I don't know.
Gotcha. Aaron, do you want to add any comments to that Big G, or do you have some new chats to discuss?
I mean, I would have liked the idea just to shake things up with the Viking Raiders a little bit, freshen up their act. I would have been cool with that, personally. It just sucks that she came into Raw during the pandemic, and then just like that, she's gone, you know. Just goes to show that nobody's job is truly secure. It doesn't matter if you show up for the pandemic or not. If WWE feels that you're bottom tier, then you're in jeopardy of being let go, unfortunately. Curtis Butler with a $2 super chat says, the oldest member of NoDQ says hi on his B-Day. Happy birthday, Curtis Butler. You're the oldest member of the NoDQ Galaxy. What about Caitlin's dad? He's probably watching this, and I'm not sure if you're 78 or not, Curtis Butler. Or what is he, 74? I think he's 74. CS Productions with a $5
That's a big difference. If I want to
super
get that straight, Aaron.
CS Productions with a $5 super chat says, thoughts on the recent episode of Dark Side of the Ring? The most recent one, I'm not even sure what that was.
The most recent one was Jimmy Snuka. Was Jimmy Snuka and his girlfriend.
I have not watched it yet.
I haven't watched it either, to be fair.
We'll bring that up once. Dino Bravo's coming out soon, though, Jeff. We've been waiting.
That's gonna be.
Well, I'll tell you, the one I'm looking forward to is Herb Abrams.
Well, of course.
Because I've met that guy. That will be an interesting one for sure. I recommend everyone watching this right now, make sure you tune in for that Herb Abrams episode. That guy
I'm still surprised you weren't called for that, to be honest with you, Aaron.
Well, I was in contact with somebody from Vice. They actually wanted to use a couple of my dad's photos. So I think there's a chance that you'll see a picture of my dad on that episode.
Nice.
Hopefully I wasn't supposed to disclose that, but they just asked about the photos, just making sure that my dad was the person who owned the photos. But yeah, check that out. Check that out when it comes out.
All righty. Well, we got before the main event here, we got to talk a little bit about AEW and NXT. NXT won the ratings again. Now, I don't know if we, these are empty arena shows, and this is during the pandemic. NXT's numbers aren't necessarily spiking up. It's the AEW's numbers have came down a little bit from where they were when people were in attendance. But is AEW doomed? And I want to ask a question to each one of you because Tony Khan's rich. They have a $1 million backer, $1 billion backer, but they're not WWE in terms of track. Vince can finagle his way and insurance policies, this and that, and keep WWE, cut the talent, whatever, afloat, so to speak, during this pandemic. But this has got to be hurting AEW because what money are they making right now? Maybe some merch. I mean, Greg Cherry, I don't know. Are they doomed with this pandemic, or will it maybe get better sooner than we think and things can get somewhat back to normal and they'll be okay? Because I don't know if they're so new still. They're not even a year old.
I don't think they're doomed.
Coronavirus.
Allergy cough. I could tell the difference.
You're a doctor? Dr. Virtue, paging Dr. Virtue.
Crying out loud. Anyway, I don't think they're doomed. I think saying anything like that is a little bit of an overstatement, but I do think that AEW's strongest draw right now is the fact that AEW fans are hardcore fans, that they really care, and it comes across on their TV. So you see sometimes people in WWE, they go to the shows and they sit on their hands, but AEW fans are involved. So that's one of the big differences. So the empty arena shows are hurting AEW, and the ratings are showing that. But I think once all this pandemic stuff clears up, they'll be able to rebound and get back on track.
Now, Jeff, thanks, Greg. Jeff, the reason why I say doomed, such a strong word, because they're just so, I don't want to see it happen, but they're so new. Can they endorse something like this? I mean, look, the XFL shut down. We don't know how it would have done the rest of the year if Vince McMahon would have been able to bring it back or not, but the pandemic basically made him have to fold it. Now, I know AEW's not, they've been around for 8 months now or so. You see what I meant with this? Like, this cannot be good for them, because I just don't, what money are they making? I mean, Tony Khan might have to be dipping into his savings to keep this afloat. I don't know.
Right. And you have to keep something in mind with both companies. We were led to believe when the XFL was refounded in 2018 that it was going to be independently funded by Vince McMahon himself and not by WWE funds. We saw the bankruptcy papers. We all know that was a big line of shit. Complete, utter fabrication. We saw WWE entry on their filing. So that was the problem. WWE's not making money, so they can't very well fund a separate league that's also not operating right now. So there you go. End of story there. As far as Tony Khan, again, his money is primarily with the Jaguars and AEW. Neither one is operating at full capacity right now. So, they are probably in more trouble than we know. But Greg makes a great point. Their fans are the hardcore fan base that wants anything but WWE thrown in their face. And those crowds at Daly's Place, at the other arenas they've been to in the Southeast and in the eastern part of the United States, have been the rabid, I miss WCW and ECW fans. And they're not there. Yeah. So the ambiance, it's people liken ECW to the Rocky Horror Picture Show. If you watch the Rocky Horror Picture Show on a TV here, Aaron, and I know Caitlin's going to be pissed at me for saying this, and that's fine. If you watch Rocky Horror here at home on your big screen TV with nobody around you except you, the movie's trash. It's a garbage movie, and I love Rocky Horror myself. But if you go to the theater and you've got the live crowd and you've got the performers in front of you doing all the different activities and you're part of the ambiance, that's the key to Rocky Horror in 2020. That's the key to AEW in 2020. Their crowd.
Is the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
What's that?
Tim Curry is the key to Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Well, okay, Tim Curry's performance in that movie is second to none. Let's be real. But as far as the crowd participation, if you go to Rocky Horror and see it in a theater that's not having the ambiance around it, it's kind of like, okay, it's a cool movie, but
to your AEW point. So
yeah, it's AEW is very much like ECW and the Rocky Horror. It's all about the fan base, and without that fan base there, they are suffering. It's not completely noticeable, but to the naked eye, but to people like the four of us, you can see the difference.
Yeah. Aaron, thoughts? I mean, it'll probably be okay, but I keep hearing the times of uncertainty because we don't know when it's going to feel normal again or be normal again. Sometimes we hear this 1 year, 18 months long term, could WrestleMania 37 be postponed? This is just nuts. What do you think here?
Well, Virtue, first off, what does Tim Curry have in common with Donald Trump?
I don't know.
I know.
Jeff Meacham.
Home Alone 2 lost in New York.
There you go.
Like as many times as I've watched Home Alone 2, I remember all the Tim Curry parts. I don't remember that until you mentioned it. Macaulay Culkin passing Trump in the hotel.
And to be fair, Donald Trump gave him excellent directions. He was a good guy to that kid. So there you
go. Don't count your tips in public. All right, so Aaron, go ahead here.
That's what she said.
Anyway, any insight on this from your opinion here? I'm all next here.
Okay, Adrian sent in a $2 super chat. He says, who will take the title off Ambrose next? Who's Ambrose? I think he means John Moxley. Brody Lee? Yeah, could be Brody Lee. I mean, it could be any number of people. Apparently, people are looking up my dad on Google because Lewis said, Aaron, you must have had an interesting childhood.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
That's for sure.
Understatement.
All right, so
Understatement.
where were we now? Okay, AEW. I don't think they're doomed, but I think they're in a rough spot right now, more so than WWE, because WWE has the establishment of being a brand that's been around for many years. AEW is an upstart. It's tough for them because they had this momentum. They were building a fan base, and then all this stuff happened, and now they're stuck. They're stuck doing taped shows. And let's face it, this AEW show on Wednesday was good. I thought it was a good show, but it had a lot of matches that would not be on Dynamite 3 months ago. They were AEW dark matches. They had like 3 or 4 squash matches on the show with people we've never seen before. And Shawn Spears wasn't even getting TV time on Dynamite a couple of months ago. So it just goes to show like AEW is in a tough spot. They have a skeleton crew. Half of the people on the roster are not being flown in for those tape shows. So they only have the guys that are local East Coast people. It just sucks for them right now. And their Double or Nothing pay-per-view not going to be happening in Las Vegas. I hope they're able to weather the storm. I think they will, but it's going to be rough for them over the next couple of months. The WWE, I think, will be fine. They got the money. They got the cash flow. And yeah, Tony Khan and his family, they got money, but I don't think it's an endless checkbook. And they don't have the WWE Network. They don't have all these other revenue streams. Their main stream right now, besides the live events, which they don't have, are the pay-per-views. And let's be real here. Who's going to pay $50 to see a show with no fans? I think that's going to be a really tough sell, unfortunately. You might get your most die-hard AEW fans buying that pay-per-view, but I just don't see most AEW fans, even fans who are loyal, spending $50 on a show with no fans. But what do you guys in the chat room think? I'm curious to know. Would you buy Double or Nothing if it was in an empty building? Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat, says, why don't you guys use Google Hangout or Zoom? I know little about Zoom. I like this software a lot. I'm not a fan of Google Hangouts, never was. Otherwise, we would have been doing the Google Hangouts a long time ago. I like this format with everybody on the screen at once.
Jeff and I can speak to how terrible Google Hangouts is.
Yeah. I'm just not a fan of it.
Going live, technical difficulties happen. First of all, I always use my computer and it's always okay. Guess what happened 30 minutes before our show tonight? My computer's not booting up. That happens. That's Microsoft for you, people. So thanks for watching. And regardless whether we have technical difficulties or dogs barking, we're still going to grind it out and give you guys content and discuss pro wrestling, especially at a time like this. Jeff.
I need to clarify earlier, and Caitlin chewed me out for this in the chat room. Richard O'Brien is the key to Rocky Horror. Let me just make that clear right now before I get shot by every Rocky Horror fan in the world. Richard O'Brien wrote and conceived that. So there you go. I'm good now. Thank you.
You're going to get Bella Buster if you don't like.
Oh, trust me, I am. I'm not looking forward to going into the Messenger if I hadn't said that. So there you go. I was covering my ass there.
Darius Jefferson said, no, I would not buy it. Ken said, depends on the talent. Thomas C. says, no, I couldn't. So, yeah, looking at some of the other comments here, it looks like it would depend. Maybe if the card was strong enough. A few people in here said that they would consider buying it. So, Virtue, any other thoughts on AEW?
No, I continue to watch it. Good for I'm glad Jericho and Moxley and some of these people that just felt WWE stale has this new platform, and they're keeping it afloat. I know a lot of people are expecting that, those WCW numbers, but it took WCW years to gain traction. And to be honest with you, the only reason why it got so big is because it had unlimited funds from Ted Turner that Eric Bischoff was able to use. So just keep watching wrestling, people. It's okay to like one better than the other, but if you want good wrestling, support all of it. Even if you don't watch all of it, just don't speak badly about it all the time. And a lot of people, not the No DQ Galaxy, but people on Twitter tend to do. Now, this is a great segue because Ronda Rousey made some comments last week. Now, is this a work? Is this a shoot? Is it going to be worked into a shoot? But she called the fans ungrateful. I don't like Jeff Meacham. What do you think right here? Is this really Ronda Rousey saying this? She has no interest in coming back. She's still bitter for her 2 UFC losses. And then when everything was kind of, the rose was off the bloom after she was in WWE for a while, and then the fans kind of turned like they often do. Is this really her from stemming through all of those issues that she had? Or is this potential work? Could she come back down the road? The reason why I say this, without Ronda Rousey, WWE doesn't treat the women as main event. I mean, there might have been one main event since she left, but look, where did Becky? Night one in the middle of the card, right? Becky defended her title at WrestleMania against Shayna. Now, yes, it wasn't the live WrestleMania in front of a stadium full of people, but what do you think with Ronda Rousey? I get a chuckle out of it because I know it works fans up. And more importantly, did it work the workers up, or are we being worked?
Well, Aaron and I were there at Survivor Series a year and a half ago when she faced Charlotte in the match that was supposed to be her and Becky. And the fans ate her alive. And those are her people, our people, Los Angeles, our crowd. And I, as much of a Charlotte fan as I was then and still am now, I was pretty disgusted by the way Staples Center treated her. I really was. That was really, I thought it was super duper bogus. And I was not a fan of the way they turned on her. And I was also not a fan of the way she responded, work, shoot, whatever, with, calling it fake and, saying she doesn't care if she comes back. That's fine. If she doesn't want to come back, I don't know. You've made the point, Virtue, that the women's division is missing her because there's no big star anymore because Becky's just not that person. I would have to agree with the Raw women's division. They are missing Ronda Rousey's star presence. I also think that, if they didn't attempt it, or if they did attempt it and it didn't happen, WWE missed the boat on having her return during Shayna's challenge. Because it would have been made perfect sense for Ronda to cost Becky the match or the championship against her friend Shayna Baszler. So
that could have happened if Mania wasn't, if it was planned as normal in Tampa in the stadium.
I think it may have happened if it was in front of, the big stadium, if it was live. I think the fact that it was taped, it was almost like, Vince is so worried about leaks. So I don't think they would have chanced bringing Ronda into the Performance Center because somebody would have said something.
Aaron, what do you think on this? I get the kick out of this type of stuff when people get so angered because that's a lost art, I think, is to trigger people because that's what, entertaining is all about. You got to have stuff people like and stuff people don't. What do you think on this from your point of view? Is Ronda working us? Is WWE working us?
All right. Well, Justin Brosnan sent in a $10 super chat. Thank you, Justin. He says, I was a fan of Ronda, but I'm not anymore. It's not a work. Nia Jax commented on this and said she'd risk her job to knock her out for real. It's very disappointing. All right, so here's my take on it. I could see both sides. I think on one hand, the fans, they are fickle and they sometimes cheer and boo when it doesn't make any sense. But on the other hand, I feel that that's their right. And I think if you're in the wrestling business, you have to be thick-skinned about it. Look at John Cena. Look how many times he got booed. The guy rolls with the punches. He doesn't complain about it. Now, you can argue, hey, Ronda's a heel. She's playing up the heel act, saying the fans disrespected her. That's fine if this is leading to something. If she's coming back and she's planning to do an angle, then I think this is genius. If she's not coming back and she's just doing this for attention, I think it's really dumb. So I think time will tell. If this is leading to something, she's coming back, she's using this to start getting people worked up and building up towards something, then I think it's great. But I think the jury's out on it, and we need to see what happens with it. I think we still got to wait.
Greg, thanks, Aaron. I see you in deep thought over there, Greg. Are we ever going to get a 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen? What do you think with this whole scenario? Or is it just too many egos, too much star power in their own heads. What do you think?
Well, I think the 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen match should have been done probably when Ronda was still there, because Shayna was getting hot with winning the title, and Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir were being used. They're not being used as much recently, so you kind of have to build them up to make them credible challengers to the almighty Becky, Charlotte, Sasha, and Bayley. So I don't see it happening anytime soon unless they start building the other 3 up, because Ronda can come in whenever because she's Ronda freaking Rousey. And Baszler's got her history. You just got to build up Duke and Shafir. I will say, though, in regards to what Ronda Rousey said, she was absolutely right. Fans are kind of assholes. Like I said this on my live stream, if you want to watch it on Saturday. It's like, Ronda Rousey's not wrong. It's like she's saying the people are ungrateful. They are.
Yeah.
Because I'm waiting to see how long it takes the fans to turn on Drew McIntyre now that he won the WWE Championship.
It's not everybody that's ungrateful, but it's that big core group, that the vocal minority. You know what I mean? That's
And I'm not saying it is everybody, but if wrestling fandom was just based on Twitter, it would be pretty much everybody, because everybody tears the product apart. What's up, Aaron?
All right, so Greg, we had a super chat here from Psycho Jet Black. Says, who do fans hate more, Ronda Rousey or Nia Jax? Interesting question there. I think they might have a more dislike for Nia Jax, but that one could be close at this point. What do you think, Greg?
Well, I honestly think that, I know Nia's going into freaking Money in the Bank. They should have just shoved her right into a title feud with Becky as soon as she came back because of that history. I mean, the whole face breaker thing right before Survivor Series, the story writes itself. Like, you don't even need the writers. If you just focus your matches on the history that they have, especially the important history that they have, the story writes itself.
Well, then thank you. I mean, go Ronda. Like, when I see people get their emotions sparked because of what a celebrity says, a wrestler says, more power to them. And then that's why, Greg likes the Baron Corbins, and some people, they just love to soak in that punch back at the fans, and they usually are pretty effective. So with that said, Aaron Riff, do we got any other questions from the NoDQ galaxy?
Chris Cahill wanted to know about the Killer Cross attack on Ciampa. I actually did not talk about that. So funny enough, I turned off my live stream at 10 o'clock Eastern to do this one. And I shut it off after the tag match was over. I figured, okay, NXT's over. I completely missed it. So I'm a little surprised that WWE made it, I guess, I'm not sure what word I'm looking for, but it came out of nowhere, basically, right at the end. They rolled the credits, and then they had Ciampa there being attacked, which, I don't know. It was just weird to me. I think they should have hyped up Ciampa having an interview at least, or something to keep people tuned in. Jeff?
They did. They were talking all night that he was going to address what happened with him and Gargano, and he was going to keep his word about saying Johnny was a better man. And as far as the lateness of the thing, never ever trust the lower third on NXT, Aaron.
Well, I know that. So I guess I must have not heard the commentary, but I don't recall seeing a graphic or anything. Was there a graphic?
They showed a graphic at least 3 times, maybe 4.
Yeah, especially in the dual watching area where people are watching both shows.
Right. They showed a graphic in the lower right of Gargano and Ciampa saying, still to come, or coming up, or whatever it said. But they made it clear that Ciampa was going to be the main event.
All right, yeah, I completely missed it somehow. So there you go.
And we'll see. Karrion Kross, is that what his first name is going to be? I guess it's something very like a killer if you look at the meaning of it. I heard a lot of good things about this guy and that he gets it. Let's just hope the WWE machine doesn't hold him back. Of course, they're going through the motions and putting him through NXT. It looks like Scarlett Bordeaux might be with him. Was that like a boot that was in that shot, guys, at the end there? So they're probably going to pair them together, but let's see what happens. It's intriguing. Any other thoughts on that? And Ciampa, nonetheless. I mean, Ciampa's a super babyface now, That's it. Any other thoughts on that? Or Aaron, new questions? Because I'm ready to wrap it up. If not,
I'm ready. I'm ready to wrap
this
this
always
baby
happens
up.
when we go on to our plugs, though, so we'll see how it goes. Let's start with Greg Cherry, because you might have something else to say. I don't know. What's up?
I do. So, a lot of people have been asking me, and Jeff both, about when is the return of Wrestling Trivia Challenge. Well, I have an answer for you. Tomorrow. Tomorrow on the Greg Cherry Brand YouTube channel, which youtube.com/Greg Cherry Brand officially marks the return of Wrestling Trivia Challenge. You'll see the video up there. It's ready to premiere right at 6 o'clock Eastern. I was going to do it at 8 o'clock, but that overruns with SmackDown, so I moved it earlier to 6. But every 2 weeks, Wrestling Trivia Challenge will officially be back. No seasons. It's just going to be continuous. Every 2 weeks is going to be a title defense, come hell or high water. So you want your opportunity? It's here. Talk to Jeff. Get on the show. We'll schedule something. I'm pretty freaking flexible, so I'll do it. Also, I want to say something. Apparently, Wrestle Talk's Adam Blampede brought my name up on his show in regards to trivia. Because Brian Zane from Wrestling with Regret was doing his trivia thing, and my name came up as a potential challenger. So it's like, Wrestling Trivia Challenge is noticed, people. People see it. So go there, go to my Twitter. Yes, I have Twitter again. My Instagram, my Teespring store. Buy a shirt. All Greg Cherry Brand.
Well, thank you, Greg. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being one of the ones that stuck it out while I had some technical difficulties earlier. Jeff, Mecha Mania, the West Coast Professor.
That's it, brother. That's it. Mecha Mania is running wild, and it's running wild on the Greg Cherry Brand coming tomorrow. So it's going to be, dude, you guys have no idea how much of a pain in the ass it's been to coordinate this damn show. It has been.
I had to host a tournament. Don't tell me about.
Well, I know you yourself do. I'm talking about the people in the chat room, the people, watching. People have been bitching at me for, let's see, the Thursday before WrestleMania last year. So since
what
then,
day is your stream, Greg?
What day is my stream? Saturday.
Okay,
Saturday
there you go,
at 3 p.m.
Michael.
Eastern.
Oh, I missed that. Saturday. Okay. Yeah. So there's that. There's tomorrow is also Talk Wrestling at 7 Eastern. So we'll be after Wrestling Trivia Challenge on my channel, which is youtube.com/Jeff Meacham. You can also find the show on both of my Twitters at _Jeff Meacham and J Meach Podcast, and on my Facebook and my Facebook group. I think on Twitch. I don't use the Twitch, but I know some people do. So there's that. And teespring.com/store/Jeff-Meacham-Network.
Well, thank you, Jeff. And of course, now to Aaron Rift.
Big G with the $2 super chat says Big G will return soon. TikTok
next week.
There you go. Unless something comes up, and knowing the state of the world right now, anything's possible. Hopefully not. Hopefully Big G will be back next week, and we'll get agree or disagree with Big G back. Have that segment make its grand return. Anyways, guys, make sure you stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest. It's been a very busy week, and it could be another busy week coming up here. Very unpredictable era that we are living in right now in wrestling. Follow me at Aaron Rift and at NoDQDOTCOM if you're not already. And, of course, subscribe, tell a friend, follow the guys here, follow Greg, follow Jeff, follow Virtue, and support them, support NoDQ. Thank you guys so much for watching. Virtue, let's go and wrap it up.
And, of course, you can follow me on Twitter. You can attempt to troll with me on Twitter at NoDQ_Virtue. I will make it. If wrestling's boring to you, I will give you extra interest if you go on Twitter with me. Go to my Facebook, NoDQ.com/Virtue. And that's it. We will be back soon next week for number 92. I'm going to be working hard to get my computer back up and running. That's all I got. So for Aaron Rift, For Jeff Meacham and for Greg Cherry, I'm Virtue. Thank you for watching No DQ Galaxy. We'll see you next time.
Woof, woof.